I opened my restaurant because cooking over an open fire was my thing. Scratch-made cobbler, totally my thing. But spreadsheets and payroll, just not my thing.
Regions helps business owners keep up the good work and simplify the other work with business checking account options and time-saving cash management tools.
More time doing my thing works for me.
For tools and services to help you keep up the good work, switch to Regions at regions.com/smallbusiness. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. It's time for Gwinnett Business Radio. Gwinnett Business Radio is presented by Regions Bank. Brave the beginning. Member FDIC.
And hello again, everybody. And welcome to Business RadioX. This is Gwinnett Business Radio. Mike Salmon alongside Stephen Julian. Good morning, Stephen.
Welcome to you, Mike.
Welcome to you as well.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it's been a long night.
Has it? Do you want to go into detail
No,
about that?
not really. Not really.
You know why?
We've been busy.
Because this is a professional show with professional people. We're going to talk to professional guests, and they're going to do a great job today.
Yes, it is.
But before we get to our first guest, I have to remind everybody that Gwinnett Business Radio is brought to you proudly, happily, satisfactorily by Regions Bank. We all know keeping your company's financial future on track means having the right resources to support your growth. Regions Commercial Banking offers you lending capabilities and strategic solutions tailored to your needs. And you'll work with a team of experienced bankers here in Gwinnett. Discover steps to take that can help move you closer to your business goals. Regions is here to help. To learn more, Mike, do you want to learn more?
I do, absolutely.
Then you need to visit regions.com/commercial-banking. Regions Bank.
Why are you pointing at me?
Member FDIC. You talked all over.
You told me before the show, don't say member
and
FDIC.
And you've never followed my instructions on that. This was the
today.
First time. So you're just throwing me curveballs and changeups all over the place.
Just by coincidence, we happen to have Eric Schmook here today. He is from Regions Bank. He's a managing director. And also, Christian Brown is here. He's with ETS Solutions. He's the marketing manager there.
Let's get to it.
Yeah, so we're going to start off with Eric. Eric, welcome to the program.
Good to be here.
Regions Bank. You know, I never heard of the bank before, you know. No, actually, it's all over the place around here. Great to have you. You are the managing director. Welcome to the program. What is your job as managing director at Regions Bank?
Sure. So my job is to basically help commercial clients who are looking for financing solutions, usually term loan financings that they're looking to do to grow their business, expand to a different market. And I do that across what we'd call our East region. So Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. But specifically, since I live in Atlanta, obviously I kind of focus my efforts on the Georgia market.
So what is your typical client base? You work across many different states, but what can you get it down to a typical client, or how broad is that going to be?
It's very broad since I cover 4 states, a lot of different industries. So this week was a great example of me getting back out in the market, starting to see clients again. So on Monday, worked with a Georgia-based client who operates and runs a very popular chicken quick-serve restaurant. And they're in Georgia, but we've actually financed a 4-store acquisition in Texas. So pretty unique to start off the week doing that on Monday. Tuesday, worked with a large physicians group who was looking at doing some term financing on some equipment purchases, so CT machines, MRI machines, that sort of thing. So did that on Tuesday. Wednesday was out and meeting 2 more clients in the Atlanta area. One was actually both big distributors. One was for HVAC equipment. One was for tile and stone. And these companies have been operating in the area for about 40 years, so looking to do some expansions of both their warehouse facilities. So very unique. And then, doing this today, and then tomorrow I'll be in another part of the state working with another large physician group who's looking to do some term financing as a way for their younger doctors to be able to buy into the practice. So it's literally expands the entire spectrum.
So we have chicken, doctors, HVAC, tile, and a Business RadioX interview.
Yeah, there you go.
That's quite a week, man. I like that. You used a term in your first couple of answers that I'm going to stop, and I'm going to ask you to help the layman, help the podcaster figure out what you're saying. When you say term financing, What exactly does that mean, and how is it different from, let's say, a conventional commercial loan?
Sure. So term financing is going to be anything that has, I'll get into another term, amortization associated with it. So it's typically based on real estate. So case in point with the two distributors we're talking about, we were looking to refinance their existing buildings. Those tend to be, not like a mortgage that you would get on a house, but they would have 5, 7, 10-year term financing to them that do have amortization. So when I say term financing, it means that the loan does amortize down. You're paying down debt over time versus a revolving sort of HELOC situation for the layman.
And a vast majority of that is almost always tied to some kind of real estate. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, in the commercial space, it's typically real estate's the golden asset.
I learned something new today, Mike.
That's the whole point of the
point
show.
of why we do
We
this.
all learned something today, especially when we have someone from Regions Bank. You've probably noticed the last year and a half, it's kind of been crazy out there. Little pandemic going on. How has the whole COVID thing impacted the world where you do your work and the business you do?
Yeah, it's been very interesting because I would happen to be in New York the week that outbreak happened, so I got sent home first before the entire office got sent home.
So you brought it from New York
I
to
brought
Atlanta.
I brought it
for that.
Well, I
All right.
stopped
We
in
got
New
a
York.
scoop here on the show. It's all Eric's fault.
Yeah, so we all went very quickly to doing remote work. So I've been working out of my spare bedroom, staring at a wall, and been doing that for about the last year and a few months. And so this week was the first week where we actually got out there and started to see clients again.
And I want to jump on that because one of the and I'm not asking you to make an overarching comment about business in general, but one of the things that happened in the height of the COVID lockdown, shutdown, and everybody working remotely is I heard multiple people say, well, this is how it's going to be from here on out. And business, especially, now that we've done this, we're going to keep doing this because there is some cost savings, right, to operating that way. But in your answer where you talked about this week, sounds like one of the first weeks where you kind of left the spare bedroom and went out to go back and see clients. In your line of work as a managing director and helping people with loans, how important is it to have at least the option of doing that face-to-face meeting?
It's paramount.
Okay.
Being able to physically sit down with someone, break bread with them, go and visit them in their office, do a plant tour, that is so much better, in my opinion, than a conference call or a video call. Those are good as substitutes, but they're not the end-all be-all in a relationship type of situation where you're trying to build something with a client.
So some business can be done completely online. Some and some business, it might be better to be done all online. But when you're building that relationship, when you're talking about a term loan, you could write loans all day and do it remotely, but there is something about that. There is something about a relationship there, right? And so for that term loan, and not to give away the secret sauce, but when you're working with businesses, when you're working with the doctors and the chickens and the distributors of tile and HVAC stuff, what are some of the things you're looking for as the person who's loaning the money? What are some of the things that Regions looks for that maybe some of your other competitors that won't be mentioned here, what are they not doing that you guys are doing?
Yeah, so we described it best to one of the clients yesterday was we have all the capabilities of your biggest banks in the country, but we have a community bank approach when we're trying to develop a relationship. And that is paramount by going out there and spending some time doing meetings, and most of these commercial businesses are family-owned operators, second generation, first generation. So we're really trying to get to know them and not just know them as their bank client 1435. No, they're not going to be that. They're going to be, this is our client that we're talking to. I know the owner, I know the owner's family, and that's how we're trying to establish a relationship, as well as doing all the necessary banking work you would have to do with any client, but we're actually trying to establish that relationship.
You're even being generous to your competitors because they would have it as client 14357298776J-Z backslash.
Oh, I love that client. It's my favorite
He's
client.
my favorite client. He's almost as good as 170. Okay, I'm sorry.
So Regions is a big bank and a small bank. It's the best of both worlds.
Yes, that's what we're trying to accomplish, is be able to do everything that the big banks can do, but have that personal touch where we're going out and it's me, it's the banker, it's the sales manager, it may even be the head of the commercial bank is in the room with the client, and also a credit officer who's making that local decision. And that's really, we're bringing everything to the table and saying, these are the people in this room who are going to make the decision.
Eric Schmook is our guest with Regions Bank. He's the managing director there. And I've been instructed, Eric, to ask you the following question, but I'm going to show my ignorance here right now.
Sure.
The question is, how about some comments on the macro environment and the FX markets?
Oh, the FX market.
Well,
You know
see,
the FX markets.
now
Mike.
you
Come
have
on.
to explain to me.
We
First
were
of
talking
all,
about it over coffee this morning.
To show my UGA education, macro environment, and what is that? And FX markets, what is that?
Sure. So I'll hit on the macro environment real quick. So in the end, we have an ultra-low interest rate environment. So last year, everyone took advantage, refinanced their mortgages. You had a lot of companies looking to refinance their debt as rates were low. You're now into this situation where short-term rates are still ultra-low, but you have a lot of fiscal stimulus that's been coming through. So a lot of, I think, 3 stimulus packages. We're talking about infrastructure bill. The latest was $1 trillion that's being proposed as a counterproposal to the much larger infrastructure bill that was originally proposed by the president. So we have a lot of money that's being thrown out into the market, which creates something called inflation, which means prices go up. I'm sure we've all kind of seen that over the last 6 or 9 months, but with the backstop of shorter rates. So you have these two opposing dynamics going on where one thing would say, hey, rates should be higher. Another thing should say, hey, maybe rates should be lower. And we don't really know who's going to win out in the end on that. So that's why it's so important for us to be talking to our clients so that when they're making their financial decisions, they have all the information to make a rational choice of how they want to go about it. On the FX side, I don't actually cover foreign exchange. So what I will say is that is a very big market for us too. You're going to have another guest, Michael Zellickson, who will cover that piece much better than I'd be able to do it.
So, Mike, you have to go back to the person who told you to ask that question and say, you didn't give me both guests who can help with that question.
Well, at least now when I talk to Michael, I'll know what FX stands for because I'm thinking FX. I watch that channel all the
that's
time.
a great channel.
But yeah.
Some of my favorite shows are on
foreign
FX.
exchange. Okay.
Foreign exchange.
Yeah, I feel like an idiot now, but that's just typical for me. I'm going to ask an easier question for you
go
to
ahead.
ask. Regions Bank, I've learned a lot about the culture there in the last 6 months that Regions Bank has been the sponsor or the partner of this show. What is it that you love most about working there?
It's the people. I mean, that's like a generic thing that a lot of people will say, but in the end, I've been working my entire career basically at one institution. I did a little short stint at another competing bank.
How dare you?
And it took about a year to realize I needed to move on to greener pastures, and I happened to find a nice green logo to set that up with. So been with Regions now.
Well done.
14 years.
He gets the bell. Well done. 14 years?
14 years I've been
Holy
with
cow.
the bank. Yeah, so I've been doing it, and I will sometimes say, look, if you cut me, I'd bleed Regions green. So I really like the people
Listen,
I work with.
we already rang the bell once.
I
You're not getting a bell for that one either. Now you're pushing it.
Yeah. You should have led with that. I don't know that. I'm trying to decide which one's a better.
But I love that. It's always the people.
Yeah.
And we've had other folks talk about why they love where they work. It's always the people. It's never. The chair at this job was just so much more comfortable. That's the reason I work
And the
there.
great part about our show is it's the people who sit in the chairs opposite us. Because if it was just you and I, we both would have quit a long time ago. I made Eric laugh.
I don't know how to
I did.
take that. All right. Listen, Eric, we appreciate your time. Great to meet you. Great for having. Glad to have you here.
Aren't you going to ask him how people can get in touch?
I'm about to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I wanted to butter them up first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For those that would like to find out more about Regions Bank and take advantage of the services that you offer, how can they do that?
Sure. Easiest is regions.com /commercial banking solutions. And you'll be able to find out exactly who you need to get to. And Gwinnett is, last plug here, Gwinnett is one of our growth markets that we have at the bank. So definitely we're looking to do new business with new customers and would love to be a part of those conversations. Thanks, everyone.
I've seen a lot of the new branches that have gone up throughout Gwinnett, so you guys definitely are growing in this area, and we're glad to be a part of it.
Mike, before we get to our next guest, I get to do something we have never done in the 8 years of doing this show. Can you imagine? I mean, this is so cool. I can't believe I get to do this.
Okay, what is that?
We were told.
You get a disclaimer, Eric.
We were told we have to read this. Now, in my day job as an independent financial advisor, nothing we love more than our compliance department. And so I get to read the opinions expressed in this broadcast and the previous interview are statements of the speaker's opinion, are intended only for informational purposes, and are not formal opinions of, nor binding on Regions Bank, its parent company, Regions Financial Corporation, and their subsidiaries, and any representation to the contrary is expressly disclaimed. Wow. I feel so official.
I don't even know what to say anymore.
You don't say anything. Once the disclaimer's done, we go on to the next interview. We bring in our next guest who's going to take the show to the next level.
This is why we lock the doors, so the guests can't leave. Christian is stuck with us now. Christian Brown is our next guest. Christian is with ETS Solutions, the marketing manager. Christian, great to see you.
Likewise.
We actually met 2-3 weeks ago. You guys had a bingo night at the 1818 Club, hosting some of your clients and potential clients, and that was a lot of fun. So got to meet some of the management team. And Christian, I was very impressed with the team. Talk about ETS Solutions, first of all, and what you guys do.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, thank you for having me on. Thank you for attending the bingo night.
That was fun.
It was fun. It was a great time. So ETS, we're a faith-based technology consulting company based in Kennesaw. And the easiest way I can explain ETS is the numbers 5, 6, 7. So five core values: faith, family, trust, community service, client experience. And those are the foundation of everything that we do, from how we communicate to how we do meetings, throw events. All right. And then the number 6, we have a 6-step user experience that we take every client through. And it starts with Consult X and ends with Client Account Management X. So across the board. And then 7, we have 7 product sets, from cloud services to voice and data to cybersecurity, IoT, AI.
Wow.
Go on and on.
That's cool. We've had IT, solutions companies in the past. You lead with the faith, though, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Talk about the environment there and what it's like working for ETS.
Definitely. So I love it. It's a small group, family owned, and it started 20 years ago. The founder, Mike Russell, I think he was a financial advisor at the time, but his son was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And so he went to his boss and asked if he can get every Friday off to go to chemotherapy, and his boss said no. So he walked out of the office and went home and started ETS Solutions with faith in mind, because he went out with nothing. And now 20 years later, we're an award-winning technology consulting company.
So you talked about the 5 core values. Obviously, you kind of led with that, not just because 5, 6, 7 sounds better than 7, 6, 5. But those core values, obviously, as you said them, a lot of people said, okay, I get the importance of that. But talk personally. Talk about yourself and the company in general, how those come out. Because some of those are not necessarily business-oriented values.
Yeah. I think they come out with just how we go about living our lives. And for me, it was important to come into a faith-based organization because I'm a faith-driven person, right? So I was attracted to the energy there at the company. And I'm glad that we can just say we're faith-based, because now it kind of just takes the load off if we're in a meeting and we say, hey, yeah, we pray before this, or when we go to lunch, we always pray before we eat, no matter who we go, to go to lunch with. It's just at the core of who we are.
And how do those things come out? So let's say you're on a job. Let's say you're dealing with an IT solution. I was kind of thinking. So I always joke in my own personal faith journey that I'm a recovering Pharisee. So one of the things that I was thinking as soon as you said faith-based, and I was like, faith-based technology, that's not something you hear. And I was like, so if you try all the solutions and if all else fails, we're going to lay hands on it and pray for it. And not that wouldn't work, right? I'm sure you probably have a couple of those stories, but let me bring it back down to a reasonable question.
Yeah.
So you're on your typical job. You talked about kind of praying before lunch and all that kind of stuff, but I would imagine the faith-based stuff just causes you to do everything with excellence, causes you to do everything with pure honesty. I mean, what are some of the ways that if you weren't faith-based that you might do something different? Can I ask it that way?
Yeah. So for one, 10% of the company's revenue goes back to the community.
So you're giving. That's tithing, right?
Yep.
So that's a biblical
So we're
thing.
giving because we believe that everything that we get is from God.
Yeah.
So it's our duty to give that back to the community.
Okay.
And also just the internal culture, right? So before every internal meeting, we'll have a prayer. Okay. We joke around. We have a prayer police on staff to make sure that whenever...
So there are the other recovering Pharisees. Ha-ha! I need to meet these people. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, those are just two examples.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
I want you to break down a little bit the 6-step user experience method that you talked about. I found that very interesting as well. What does that entail?
Yeah, so like I said, first it entails Consult X. So we meet up with a potential client or a prospect and just get a feel for their business pain points, their technology pain points, and then we go to Tech X, to where we look at different options to solve their needs, and then we go to FinX, which is the negotiation process of bringing on a solution, and then we go to Project X, which is managing the project, and then we go to Vendor X, which is managing the relationship with whichever vendor that the client chooses, and then CAMX, client account management. We stay on board with the client for life until they in their terms with us.
And here you are on Business RadioX.
Oh.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
So then they go to Business RadioX and tell everybody how great they do, right?
Exactly.
We might have to add you guys to that
that's
6
the
step. That might be our 7th step.
It's now a 7th step.
So it'd be 577. I don't know if that would work as well.
Yeah, me neither.
So and I wanted to jump on one thing you said there, because you talked about Vendor X. When you laid out all the different things and the 7 different products, the little I know about technology and IT and all that, it's there's an old saying that if you kind of find a company that does everything around technology, they really don't. I mean, because it's so specialized and there's so many rabbit trails and depths to it. So it sounds like one of the things you do is there are some things you probably specialize in-house, but it's really trying to help people find the right vendors. Is that fair?
That's correct, because we are consultants. So technically, we do not sell. We do not do any of the services. We consult, and so our fee, we don't have a fee, right? Whenever we bring on a client, we consult with them for free, and then the vendor, they pay us on the back end.
Okay. So how do you guys go about finding the best, so talk a little bit, again, without giving away a secret sauce, talk a little bit about the vendors that you guys work with. I assume there's a due diligence process. There's how do you guys find those right vendors?
Yeah, so we work under a master agent. It's called TCG, and TCG, they build the partnerships with the Amazons, AWS, the Microsofts, the Verizons, AT&Ts. And so we work directly under the master agent, and the master agent is the one that connects us to.
And then the most important thing of your consulting is that last step where you're staying with them, right? Because it's one thing to help hey, we found this great vendor. Okay, see you later. We're on to our next job. Right. So part of that is making sure that the vendor continues to do what they need to do, that your user is continuing to get the experience that you talk to them about and pitch them, and they're still seeing that. Is that a fair statement?
That's accurate. And we want to make it easiest on the client because, when you call vendors sometimes, even if you have a phone service, if you call Sprint or Verizon, they might have you on hold, for about an hour. So we just make it easy. We're the one back to scratch, if you will.
I like it. Okay, so let me jump on the faith-based thing one more time and say, I assume you got some words of testimony, right? So you've got some. So I'm going back to my childhood, Sunday night church. Stand up, somebody go. I want to tell you what the Lord did in my life. Do you guys have you had a good story at the tip of your tongue of somebody who would stand up and go, let me tell you what ETS Solutions was able to do for my business?
Yeah, that's a great question. But I kind of want to not answer that directly. I want to change it because when you said testimony, I instantly thought about myself.
Okay, there you go. You can do
Which
that.
may be a little selfish, but I think it plays into the culture of who ETS is.
You are free to go wherever you want.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. So quick backstory on me. So I grew up in Gwinnett County. I wasn't really into business. I was all into sports. Didn't even know what entrepreneurship was until college. And so when I got to college, Kennesaw State University, 2015, I was lost. I didn't have a purpose. Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't really have a relationship with God like I do now. And so I kind of went off into a dark path of my life. And eventually that led me to leaving school and taking a year off and trying to find out who I was as a person. And throughout that journey, I was able to get a job with Delta and travel to 15 countries when I was 21. And so through that, I really found God, and I found where God was leading me. And so I ended up going back to school after that. And literally my first class, Mike Russell, the founder of ETS Solutions, was a guest speaker. And he had an amazing story. And I was like, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to be an entrepreneur. Can you be my mentor? And he said, yeah, I love that you came up to me. And so every week after that, we met. I asked him questions. He helped me direct my path. And then when I graduated in December of 2019, he brought me on board at ETS. And now I'm here.
That's a much better story than
Yeah, I like that. I love how you traveled the world and you came back home.
Yeah.
Here you are in Gwinnett County again. That's really cool. As far as ETS and the clients you serve, is there a sweet spot for ETS Solutions? Or this is the kind of the typical business that we help the most. So the business leader that's listening to this podcast right now, he goes, "Oh wait, that's me. Maybe I need to give them a call."
Yeah. So we specialize in multi-locations. So if a client has 10 or more locations, that's our sweet spot. The vertical doesn't really matter. We have banks, we have law firms, we have construction companies, distribution centers. So the vertical doesn't matter, but we specialize in multi-location.
Would it be fair to say that you guys are kind of a chief technology officer for hire, like a partial CTO? I mean, that seems to be the role. You're talking about multi-location. Not that you couldn't help an individual business with only a couple employees in one location. I'm sure there's some ways you can help them, but it's more that partial CTO. Is that a fair statement as well?
Yeah, that's fair. We're an extension of the company's technology team.
Okay.
I want to ask you one last question, Christian. I loved your story about how you got to where you are today. Yeah. What's next for you?
Yeah, I love
Hey, he
it.
just started like a year and a half ago. Give him a break here.
I just started. So actually, I'm going back into my traveling self, and I'm moving to Europe in January of 2022. And the goal with that is to expand my international presence and hopefully build a brand out there to where I'm able to help ETS become an international company.
So you're looking to expand yourself, but you're doing it with the blessing, and sending off of ETS a little bit.
I am.
So they want to become an international company.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, I thought we had a story here. It's like, wait, you're leaving ETS? But no. Right, you're going to take them worldwide.
ETS is with me.
There
ETS
you
is
go.
with me for life. So.
Wow.
Well, that's the great thing about technology is, I mean, you can really do it almost, well, technically anywhere in the world. I mean, you can listen to this podcast right now anywhere in the world. I want to ask one last question because I did ask Eric earlier about the whole COVID situation, and obviously that affected your business as well. How did your business evolve during COVID?
Yeah, so for us being a technology company, COVID really gave us an opportunity to walk the talk, right? Because we talked about moving to the cloud, being able to work remote for years, but I think COVID turned that into reality.
Kind of accelerated everything.
And so we were able to really innovate and show clients that now is the time to move to the cloud or to go remote, to look at implementing a unified communication system. And as a company, we were able to just come up with new ideas of how to attract business, because a lot of our business in the past has come from events and just personal relationships face to face, but we couldn't do that during COVID. So we started a podcast. We took a page out of your book, started a podcast. We started doing virtual events, and really just had to create a new way of building relationships.
And I want to mention as well, just like Regions Bank, ETS Solutions is also really growing right now in Gwinnett County. I know you've made that one of your priorities. You guys have become Chairman Club members at the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce. So Gwinnett County is a very important market for you guys as well.
Definitely, and we're excited to just build the network out here.
For those businesses that would like to find out more about ETS Solutions and look into all your products and services and consulting work, where can they get that information?
Yeah, so just etssolutions.com. And I would also say on LinkedIn, we're ETS Solutions, and we post a lot of content on LinkedIn. So
all right.
follow us.
One last thing, and I may make Christian look really good or look really bad. ETS stands for?
Ooh, I know.
Oh.
It stands for
Eternal Technology Services.
Elite Technology
Elite,
Services.
Oh, okay. I made you look good. You got it.
His is better than mine.
Exactly. Christian, great stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Mike, I want to remind everybody that Gwinnett Business Radio...
Wait, no disclaimer for Christian?
Technology disclaimer?
No technology disclaimer?
Well, if you don't have a personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ, call Christian. I'm sure he'll be happy to talk to you about that. That's
Amen.
that's everybody's personal
all right.
decision, and we're not pushing that on anybody. Fair?
Amen.
I like it. Ha! Take that, Mike. I don't know why I said
you
take
sound
that.
like a former youth pastor
I
now.
am. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's take up the. It's time to take up the offering. We'll sing a hymn and we'll get out
All
of here.
right, come-
all right.
stop it.
Before we do that.
All right.
Yeah, I made Mike uncomfortable.
No.
All right, but I want to remind, as I was saying before you interrupted me.
That's what I do.
Gwinnett Business Radio comes to you live every week, Thursday at 10 a.m. You can listen to us live on our website.
I always interrupt them.
And we come from the Subaru of Gwinnett Studios. Love.
I'm not sure why I do it, though.
Mike, I love you, and God loves you, and love is what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
I probably need to work on it.
Enjoy big savings and a hassle-free experience at Subaru of Gwinnett,
That's it. I'm not going to interrupt them anymore.
where people
Starting
sell
now.
cars. Visit
I should probably tell them, huh?
SubaruofGwinnett.com and join their family today, or come in and see the difference. If you're already a Subaruist, then check out their
God, I feel
Facebook
really
page
bad.
for the latest news. Offer. What, do you have a stomach ache? Did you eat something
All
bad
these years,
last night?
I've been
Did
interrupting
some-
him.
Did something happen at the bingo party? And community events.
I apologize to Subaru. I think I interrupted the read for Subaru of Gwinnett.
Yeah, you're going to have to do some work with Subaru. You're going to have to ask
I
them
owe them.
forgiveness. They need to show you some grace.
Yes, okay. Want to thank our listeners. Want to thank Amanda for producing. Want to thank, of course, our guests for putting up with the shenanigans. Christian Brown with ETS Solutions and Eric Schmook with Regions Bank. You said one of your coworkers, Michael, may be coming on from Regions Bank soon. I don't know. After the shenanigans, you may warn him and say, "Don't go. Those guys are weird." We're usually not this. It's just been a long week.
A long week.
It's been a very, very long week. Don't forget, you can follow this program on social media. We're on Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook at Gwinnett Radio X. Also, you can listen to these shows anytime. Just search for Gwinnett Business Radio on your favorite podcast app, whether it's iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts. It's all out there.
Amanda's playing us out. That's never happened before.
She's like, end the
Wrap
show.
it up.
Any final words, Stephen?
I love you, Mike. I love you, Amanda. I love all of our listeners. What a great show today.
See you next time. Bye.